Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back once again to ponder the question of what if in Survivor history, and we are here for Survivor Africa. So our what if question for today is, what if the swap did not happen? Because we know the swap ended up being a reason that Silas went out of the game a little bit earlier than expected, and really just torpedoed the entire Samburu tribe much quicker. So yeah, let's talk about it, Shane. So
I'm excited for this one because it's like we get to relive like the evolution of Survivor kind of, and then ask what happens if it isn't that way. And you know, this is the first time we see a swap, and it didn't lead to a pagonging. Like, you could argue the Outback didn't have a pagonging, but like it really did. They just added a couple little bumps in the road there, but they're all pre-planned. Here, we definitely don't see a pagonging, but if there's no swap, I feel like that's not the case. But I also don't think it ultimately changes too much. And here's why. So I think if there's no swap, I would just assume. So if the swap happened at 12, so 2 rounds before the merge. Without the swap, I'm going to assume each tribe goes to tribal once. Just because like it was pretty even up till that point.
Yeah.
So I would say from Samburu, we know that the Younger People's Alliance, so to speak, had the numbers, and I think they probably take out Frank over T-Bird.
yeah,
Just because he was a little more grating on people.
right.
And then on the Boran side, it's a little harder, but I do think Clarence goes because his name had come up quite a bit, and he is the merge boot in the normal timeline. So I would think it's safe to say Clarence would go there.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a merge at 5-5. And I do think here we see a little bit of a different strategy than what we saw the first 2 seasons. So in Borneo, you know, the Pagongs just everyone voted differently, and then the Toggies had that alliance. In Outback, it was 5-5, but the Ogakors kind of had the strategy of protecting the person on their side that would have went home in a tiebreaker.
Right.
Here, I think we don't see a 5-5 vote. I think T-Bird flips to the Boran side, and we get a 6-4. And they probably vote out Silas, I would assume.
Yeah, I think Silas is done unless he wins immunity, but because it is the When It Rains It Pours challenge, I think T-Bird's hanging on there the entire time. Like, T-Bird isn't stepping down. That woman is really good at endurance challenges, and she's determined. So I just think Silas is losing that. And yeah, I just don't see any way out for him. I don't think he was particularly well liked by people otherwise. And so, yeah, I absolutely think Silas is the merge boot in this timeline.
Yeah, and I think if for some reason he does win the challenge, but I agree with you, T-Bird probably wins. But if he wins, then Lindsay probably. So either way, one of them's going to miss the jury just like they did in the normal timeline. And I think from that point on, it's just a steamroll. So they get rid of Lindsay, they get rid of Brandon, they get rid of Kim Powers. Then I think Kelly Goldsmith might go before T-Bird, because I could really see T-Bird ingratiating herself with Kim Johnson in particular, but also with, Ethan, Lex, and Tom. So I could see T-Bird making it over Kelly Goldsmith most likely. And that leaves us the same final five, and I think the same exact end game that we see typically.
Yeah, I don't think anything else changes. I mean, even in the normal timeline. I mean, I will say T-Bird no longer has like the final ace in her sleeve that she can try to pull to try to save herself, because we no longer have the mystery vote for Lex, assumingly. So, I think that was her one thing that she could try to use to save herself. It didn't pan out, obviously, because of how Survivor was at the time. But, she doesn't have anything she can pin on Big Tom at that stage.
Right.
So,
I mean, and I guess for the jury vote, potentially the jury vote could change. Because in the real timeline, I mean, Ethan wins 5-2 over Kim Johnson, but a lot of that had to do with his social skills and how he integrated with the members of the other tribe. Coming in where his tribe would have the numbers, is that still the case? Do we think Kim Johnson pulls a few more votes? I don't know if she would pull enough to win, but then again, you never know. Because in the real timeline, let's see, she gets Brandon and Kim Powers, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then everyone else goes Ethan. So let's assume Brandon and Kim Powers still vote for Kim Johnson. We would have Lindsay on the jury instead of Frank here. But I could see Lindsay probably voting Ethan most likely.
Yeah, I think Lindsay would probably connect more to Ethan with the athletic background, it seemed. And then I think Tom and Lex still vote for Ethan because of the Braun Boys Alliance.
Yeah.
And then I think Kelly Goldsmith still is the numbers thing, and let's just assume it gets answered the same. So I think Ethan still wins.
Yeah, I could potentially see if T-Bird had bonded with Kim Johnson.
Yeah.
Because, with her flipping, I would assume in that scenario, she'd really need to find, someone to be aligned with. And if it is Kim Johnson, maybe she votes that way. So maybe we get a 4-3 vote.
Yeah, 4-3 is likely. And then, Kelly's the swing vote that determines.
And I guess it depends on Lindsay, too. But I'm just assuming Lindsay probably votes Ethan.
Yeah, I think that's how it lands. So, I don't know. It's... Yeah, I think I don't see any other way it works out. I think it's the exact same, just with a couple key differences.
Yeah. Although in that scenario, even Ethan's still winning, does he drop down in the winner rankings compared to where he is now? I would argue potentially, because I mean, from my perspective, he's not the highest winner. He's probably, I think I have him low or high 20s, 28 or maybe low 30s. But a lot of that does have to do with his likability and social abilities. And we might not see his social abilities as much if they just pick off the other tribe. So maybe he drops a bit.
Right. And we don't have the move that he does at the swap with Silas where he throws the challenge to get Silas out. So
right. And that really is his major strategic move.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I have Ethan at 27, I believe, on my list. And so we're around the same spot on Ethan in the normal timeline. And so I think he goes down a bit, but otherwise, I feel like everything else is almost the same except for changing out jury members.
Yeah. And I feel like, at least for me, Africa is not, I don't have it ranked the highest as a season either. And I feel like if we just get another pagonging, it probably goes down further in
Yeah,
the season rankings.
I agree. The swap was necessary to evolve Survivor, and so
Yeah, but I also think if that happens here, then with no swap, the producers are definitely going to do something for Marquesa, and probably not even like a normal swap. They're probably going to shuffle things like a lot. I don't know how, but they're going to do something to fix it.
yeah, because Marquesas the swap there. I mean, it was random, but it also still swapped 3 members, just like Africa, basically.
Yeah.
And the numbers of the tribes at that point still remained the same. So
Right.
I think in this alternate timeline, maybe Marquesas does switch. Let's assuming at that point Mara Amu still loses a bunch. It's maybe 7-6 new tribes instead of 8-5 like they were, and I don't know. So I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, that's it for Survivor Africa for What If. So join us next week for the Survivor Marquesas What If, and you'll find out what that is next time on the Tribe of Nerds.